Please let me introduce you to our next amazing speaker, Jason Ford. Jason has been working with Adobe for the last 3 years and is currently a lead solutions consultant in EMEA. Prior to that, he was the head of web within a commerce agency, and he has 10 years of experience working with brands, building, delivering, and running successful commerce businesses. So without any further ado, please let me introduce you and welcome Jason Ford.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone, and it's good to be here. For anyone that was just on our AI talk, welcome back. You got me again for another half an hour, but we're going to switch priorities now, and we're going to talk a bit about B2B as an opportunity, and what features of Adobe Commerce can support with B2B, and how that can really improve the kind of B2B operations. Now, we've got some stats about B2B on here, and really what we're talking about here is focusing on the benefits of going online and the benefits of moving to an online e-commerce experience. And I think the last year and a half, I think these stats were before that, but the last year and a half, 2 years has really put an emphasis on digital transformations, digital processes, especially when it comes to B2B operations. So one of our colleagues, Chris Hedge, recently he was speaking at Adobe Summit, and he quoted, 70 to 80% of B2B users prefer remote human interactions or digital self-service to in-person interactions. And, that's incredibly relevant right now. We're able, at the moment, we're in a lot of places, we're not able to have those in-person interactions, but in a lot of situations, dealing with a sales rep, dealing with, a business over the phone, via email and stuff, a lot of the time people just want to get on with that purchase and come back and repurchase and make those purchases as quickly as possible. And that's why, at Adobe, we kind of have this mantra of it all starts with the customer, right? We're trying to give that customer a service or a product. And so we have to think about what is important to them. So this is where we're sort of saying, don't waste my time, make getting the products as easy as possible. Let's find the relevant products as quickly as possible. And then I just want to work in the way that I want to work. So, whether that's over email, whether that's a native app, however that is, I want you to be there to supply me. Some more stats that kind of support this, 90% of buyers research online. So why would they then go offline to actually complete that purchase if they've already built up their order? Then taking that offline to actually complete that purchase is kind of going backwards and costing them time and money. And that's kind of ratified by the next stat, which is 74% think buying online is actually easier and more convenient for their operation. And that gets increased when you start to talk about repeat ordering, right? A lot of B2B users, they'll be ordering either the same products, maybe in the same quantities, but similar products in different quantities, and they will just want to quickly go in, ping those items into their basket, or reorder from a previous order and get out and get on with their own operations and making money their side. So commerce is really coming into its own in the last few years, and we've again talking about the last 2 years, we've come in leaps and bounds. We've probably advanced, some industry leaders are saying 5 years, some are saying 10 years in the last 2 years because of need within the industry. And that goes across B2C, B2B, subscriptions, marketplace, and where Adobe Commerce sits is that we can kind of cover everything, right? And it's all from one platform rather than having individual platforms for all of these. So whether you are a B2B pure play, or whether you have direct to consumer sales, or whether you are, offering marketplaces and subscriptions and you're wanting to get more engagement with your end user, that can all be built out onto a single platform, and therefore keeping your sort of total cost of ownership down. Here's just simple logo slide, shows a bunch of manufacturers, distributor type customers that are working on Adobe Commerce and really taking things to the next level in terms of digital B2B commerce. But I wanted to call out sort of JCB. Obviously, UK operated brand. We want to call them out, and they're able to work worldwide, all through an Adobe Commerce implementation, and they're able to manage stock levels in different warehouses worldwide, being able to ship from the nearest location, and drive that repeat customer coming through, that regular customer purchase. Now, a lot of B2B businesses will think, okay, I've got my market, that's as much as I can get out of them. Well, now we can deploy into a different market relatively easily with Adobe Commerce. Or actually, we can grow that market internally because we make it easier for them to deal with us, using, again, Adobe Commerce functionality. And the analysts agree, right? They look at Adobe Commerce. I'm not going to read all of these things, but they look at Adobe Commerce as the kind of leader, and we occupy the highest highest amount of top internet retailers in B2B space as well. So you're in good hands with our operations and our features. So what does B2B in Adobe Commerce look like? Well, we try and strive to these kind of five pillars. Business agility. So we want you to be able to be as flexible as possible and have an open platform. If you need to add a new payment gateway for a new territory, you can do that in Adobe Commerce. If you need to have a different product catalog for a different territory, if you want to add 10,000 new products, you can go and do that. We want to personalize those experiences to the end user. Personalization is still incredibly important for B2B users. A lot of the time you might offer a huge catalog, but your B2B customer is only interested in 10% of your catalog. They might even only have pricing for 10% of your catalog. So, giving them a unique unique catalog that is aimed at them with their own pricing. When they log in, they are greeted with just content that is relevant to them. It's incredible. It's incredible how much more performant the website can be using that. Obviously, we want to support the future, which is headless, right? Headless with PWAs. If you aren't already, make sure you attend the Sharon's talk. I think it's after this or sometime after this, where she talks about the roadmap. There's a whole huge amount of headless developments and things going on that we'll be talking about then, as well as having a best-in-class cloud, right? That last pillar. We at Magento Cloud or Adobe Commerce Cloud, we host more Adobe Commerce customers than anywhere, and 85–90% of customers are going cloud first when they're signing up to Adobe Commerce, and it's because we're able to scale to meet their needs. We're able to have a 99.99% SLA, which gives you the reassurance that your business is always going to be operating at the best possible performance. Now, in terms of actual features, and we'll go through some of this in a little demo. I've actually been given permission to do a demo, not just slideware for you guys. So I will jump into a demo afterwards and show you some of these features. But we're able to build loyalty with your B2B customers, right? By making things as easy as possible, introducing quick orders, requisition lists, even being able to integrate with punch out systems and those sorts of things. Making life as easy as possible can have an credible amount of drive for users to come back and repeat usage. We have a full quoting system built into the platform. So if you wanted to allow your customers to request a quote for you, maybe it's price matching, maybe it's speccing up a new job or new opportunity on their end, and they want to get the best possible price for this one-off order, you can do that. As I mentioned earlier, we can create custom catalogs as well as so that's not just the categories, but the products and the pricing associated with that for customers, so that when they log in, they're only seeing the products that they are approved to see, and their whole catalog is reduced down to just the products that are available to them. So you can have a massive catalog, but rather than running multiple websites or multiple stores, you can have the same store view. They log in, they only see the products that are applicable to them. There's also store credit. If you want to extend store credit to customers and not store credit, customer credit, then you can set that at different levels for individual customers. It's a very simple plus minus ledger. You can allow customers to exceed that on a per customer basis. You can also hide this completely from the customers that you don't want them to have this. So really flexible in terms of how it can be implemented. You can connect it up to your ERP or your accounts package and have it sync. Usually that is where you want the source of truth to be, but giving customers the ability to view this online without having to call you up or send you emails to check in, where they're at with their credit balance, is actually quite useful. Gets your customer success team or customer sales team off the phone. Self-service, again, talking about getting people off the phone, being able to have multiple employees from your customers all signed into a single account without sharing email addresses, without sharing passwords or anything. So it's all nice and secure, but then giving them the ability to control who out of their employees has access, what access they have. If they are placing orders, if it goes over a certain threshold, then we need to go into an approval process and we need to approve that internally, and these people need to sign it off. All of those features are just built into the functionality of Adobe Commerce. With e-com ordering, generally there's a reduction in misorders because we're able to work with live inventory from different sources. We're able to allocate that. We're able to create catalogs and prices that are unique to the individual. It means that when they're placing an order, that product is available and is assigned to and reserved for that user, and they're allowed to kind of purchase and receive that. We'll kind of skip that. Integrate with any sort of back-end system. Again, Magento being an open platform makes integration as easy as possible. Your ERPs, CRMs, PIM systems, order management, warehouse management, enterprise service bus, if you wanted to go for that type of integration, it's all possible through Adobe Commerce because we are operating that open architecture. With a closed platform where you don't have that level of access to be able to go and modify APIs or extend APIs, it can really hamper integration efforts, and it becomes a much bigger total cost of ownership for managing and running that. We'll keep going. Because we have this all in the same platform as the typical B2C type experiences, so things like product recommendations, things like dynamic content, your B2B customers are B2C customers, right? In their personal life, they are B2C customers. They know what a website experience should be. And if you're not providing that to the same level, it's becoming less and less acceptable by those users because they know how good a shopping experience can be. They know that if they go to Amazon, they can get X, Y, and Z, and it will be delivered tomorrow. you know, and by providing those similar experiences across a B2B platform, you're making life even easier for them, making them more likely to come back to you and request products in the future, and increase their purchases in the future. So a great example of another customer that's kind of done this with success is Unipart. They launched B2C and B2B on the same platform. So single instance, they're able to create single integrations into their ERP. And in this case, that was SAP, but they're not managing that in two different ways. They're not having two separate inventory allocations or anything like that. And look at the results. I mean, significant increase in orders, 75% increase in orders, 40% increase in site traffic, and a decrease in phone and fax-based orders by 50%, right? So they're streamlining that process. The number of people that they've got working behind the scenes to kind of manually adjust those phone orders and take faxes and input into a system is no longer needed, right? So we're able to be a lot more efficient with how we run things. Now it is time for the demo. So I'm going to quickly switch over, and some of you might have seen this before. It's our Brent Mill demo. So this is our kind of out of the box B2B demo. Now, obviously we've got content here. You can have your site completely open for the public to go and view, and you could have different pricing for public users, but you can also have it completely locked down. So, you know, anytime somebody tries to access the site, they are bounced to the login page. They're requesting to authenticate. Now, we have two types of accounts. One is your sort of standard customer account, but the more useful one for B2B situations is the company account. Now, this allows your customers to set up a company-wide account and then have multiple employees that are associated with that company account. Now, we're going to sign in as one of these company accounts. And when we sign in, we have different content on the homepage. Again, we're using that to personalize that shopping experience depending on the type of customer that's coming into the site. We've got some different banners, different offers. We also have their product catalog loaded. So just the products that they have access to at the pricing that they have agreed with us, as well as tiered pricing. So, you know, multiple units, incremental discounts. Only Vandelay Industries in this case can log in and see their pricing, right? It's nobody else can see that. It's just what we've agreed with them. Now, when we go through to our sort of product list page, we have options to add products to requisition lists. Requisition lists are kind of like B2B orientated wish lists, except they don't kind of empty when you order from them. But essentially, by adding a product into a requisition list, it makes it really easy for us to go in and reorder from that requisition list. So it's already pre-filled with the number of the quantity that I need for this job. So whether I'm speccing up a new job or doing an event or something like that, I know that I need these items. I can select all, add to basket, or I can unselect. You know, if it's a restock and we don't need, you know, that many of those bulbs, we can just unselect them. And we have the option to either merge or replace the current basket. So this allows us to use multiple requisition lists, multiple previous orders all together to build up our basket really quickly. So if I just merge that in, it will add those items into the basket, and we're good to keep going. Now, on the same concept, we've got the reorder function within orders. So customers can easily come back in, click on reorder. It will populate their basket with those items. It will update the pricing if the pricing is updated in the past. And so it's using the current pricing for that customer. Now, one final thing to note on this screen is you can see that the orders are created by different users. So I'm signed in as Art Vandelay. However, I can see George and Cosmo's orders from my dashboard. Now that comes out of the personalization, the permissions that we can configure as customers. So if I come further down here to company structure, you can see we've got multiple users, multiple employees. I can add different teams, and these can be whatever I decide is a team. So maybe it's a site-based team, or maybe it's a business type team, or a business group. And then I can create hierarchies within that. So I can say George reports into Cosmo. Now that's that's actually quite useful information for us to know as merchants, like if the customer is organizing their team that way. But it also gives the customer the ability to say, okay, Cosmo can authorize certain transactions from George because he is direct line manager. Obviously, we can add new users in here, and we can manage those users from this panel. So let's say George wasn't too happy that he got Cosmo got promoted above him. So maybe he leaves the company. We can easily, as the customer, I can easily come in and turn them to inactive. So we're putting them in control of their own destiny. Now, we've also got roles and permissions. So here you can see we can create a really simple role, and this becomes incredibly important for larger organizations where they maybe have a HR department that they need to onboard employees through. Well, the HR department, they're not going to need access to sales or quotes or order approvals, but they will need access to company profile and company user management. So I can easily create a new HR role, create a new user, assign that user the HR role, and then they can go ahead and create all of our employees, assign them the appropriate permissions, and allow them to sort of go in and create their own passwords and everything so they can log into the site. Now, the last bit on here that we will mention is approval rules. So I've got a test one in here. Essentially what this is doing is creating a purchase order approval rule that says any purchaser, so anybody that's buying, that's assigned that purchaser role, or we can assign it to HR if we wanted to. If their order total is more than £1,000, then it needs to be approved by the company administrator. Now, why is this important? So obviously within a business, they have their own set of rules for, who can spend what and when. But usually internally, they'll have a purchase order approval process. Okay, so they'll have to go online, fill a basket, print off that basket with the totals on it, go off to their manager or whoever needs to approve it, get that approved, probably offline. So, show them it offline, raise a PO number, and then come back to you, fax it, email it, whatever, order it over the phone with that PO number. And, that delays the entire process. With this, what it allows us to do is allows our employees to raise an order and have that automatically go to the relevant people to approve. So they'll get an email. In this case, Art Vandelay would get an email to say, hey, come and approve this order placed by George. And you'd be able to do it all within the platform. So it really streamlines that process. You can still do the PO numbers, all of that sort of stuff, but it streamlines that process away from coming like offline to then go back online or be entered into a system. Now, the last bit that I want to show you is that we have a quoting system built in. So from the cart, what we can do is say request a quote, and I can say can you price match X? The quote name, we'll say that, and we could attach a spec sheet or maybe the quote from company X that we want them to price match. We can send that request through. What that's going to do is create the quote in here. So I can get on with placing other orders. So if there's other like restocking orders that I want to get on with, I'm not delaying it because I'm waiting for your response on that. And that will actually trigger an email to go to the sales rep to start looking into this quote and working with this quote. So the sales rep in the Magento, in the Adobe Commerce admin, can come in, they can see the new quote that's come in, they can adjust the expiry date. So maybe we don't want to give them until the middle of August. Maybe we want to kind of force them to finish it before Friday, the 30th. We can add additional products, we can update the quantities, we can change the pricing, we can apply a discount and, you know, maybe round that discount up. We can then say, hey, I can provide a shipping quote for you if you provide an address, or we can say, you know, this quote is only valid until the 30th. And then we can send it back to them. Now, this can all be happening at different times when it's applicable. You know, you might have business users, business customers placing orders, you know, late at night, and then your sales reps come in and handle all of them in the morning, or vice versa. But essentially, they'll get an email to say, hey, your quote has been updated, come and check it out. They'll have a full history log, all the comments associated with it. They'll be able to then add an address and request a quote for the shipping. Or if they're actually quite happy with standard shipping, they can proceed to checkout and go through the checkout process. Now, one last thing that I wanted to show you is that under customers, your customer service reps will be able to go into a specific customer. So let's go into Art Vandelay. And not only are they able to sort of manage the shopping cart with that customer, so on the phone, they can be adding products, you know, helping them out, helping them build the order. But they can also, if the customer says allow remote access, so this is a customer configured option, what they can do is, let me just log in as that customer again. They can use this new feature, which is log in as customer. What this does is actually gives you a front end view of what the customer would see if they were browsing the site. So you can do all sorts of operations on behalf of the customer. You can browse, you can add things to their basket, you can raise quotes on their behalf. But most importantly, all of this action is logged as the end user, the admin user. Okay, so all of that has a history, all of that has logs associated with it, and makes it easy for you to come back and say, right, okay, this has happened, and you've got the audit trail in place. Okay, we are going to go back, and last couple of slides, to the moon. Okay, so with Adobe, it doesn't just, you know, end with commerce. We're able to help you obviously get started on commerce, and then as you expand your, you know, your digital maturity, as you start to implement, you know, needing more personalization, needing more data, more analysis, you know, more profiling of customers, we're able to take you through that journey. And it's because we've got the different tooling that becomes applicable at different stages during that transition from, you know, offline only B2B to online and fully digital B2B. So you've got things like Adobe Experience Manager, Adobe Target Analytics, and right at the sort of cutting edge is something that we launched last year, which is Adobe Experience Platform, which helps with profiling customers in real time, and is an incredible piece of technology. Anyway, I've probably talked enough, so we'll open it up to Q&A if we've got some time, or if there are any questions coming through.
That was such a great presentation. Thank you so much, Jason. We have a couple of questions, actually. The first one is if language and translation changes come as part of the personalization feature for the B2B, please.
Yeah, so you can have essentially different store views for different languages, and so when a customer logs in, if they want to browse in, you know, in German versus English, then they can do that. You essentially create a different store view. You can have different content rolled out to that. You can kind of manage that on a per user basis as well. So yeah, completely compatible with international and multi-language.
Perfect, thank you very much. And one of my questions while watching your presentation here, can I please clarify if I can run both B2B and B2C from the same instance, please?
Yep, great question. So with Adobe Commerce, it's one of the few, if not only, platforms that you can run all of this through a single instance. So you can just install it once. You can have multiple stores, multiple websites, multiple domains even, and things all running through a single instance. Some of them can be B2B, some of them can be B2C, some of them can be hybrid. You know, it's completely up to you. You can have different branding on each of them. It's really, really flexible in that regard.
Amazing. And one more, can B2B commerce host files such as PDF guidelines for merchandising, etc.?
Yep. So there's a few different modules on the marketplace actually that are document attachments, like product document attachments and stuff. Essentially, you just install one of them, and then you can host the files as part of the same Magento instance that you're running.
Great. Thank you very much for replying to our questions. And thank you so much for being with us today, Jason, and for these two amazing presentations.